Welcome in, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me today. Hope you guys are doing well. So, Alphabet stock, also known as Google, is hitting all time highs after its quarter 3 earnings report yesterday. So, in this video, what we're going to do is three different things. So, number one, we're going to take a look at some news about the earnings report and look at the details. Number two, we're going to take a look at the chart for Alphabet stock. And number three, we're going to take a look at some price targets for Alphabet stock. And I will also be sharing my price target for Alphabet stock and just my overall opinion as well. So we got a lot of good stuff to talk about today. Before we do jump into that, I would like to mention that on my YouTube channel, I create content about money, sports, and personal topics with the goal of bringing value to other people's lives. So if you guys find value in this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel so that I can continue making these videos. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at Alphabet stock. All right, let's take a look and see what Alphabet stock is doing today. So right now the stock is trading at $287.38. It's up over $12 and it's up around 5%. The stock was up as much as $291.47. So very good day for Alphabet stock. It's up over 5%. It's hitting all-time highs. So if you're an Alphabet investor, you're very happy today. And let's go ahead and find some good news articles that we can take a look at. All right, let's go ahead and start with this one right here. Alphabet tops $100 billion quarterly revenue for the first time. Cloud grows 34%. Let's go through these key points here. Alphabet beat Wall Street expectations, reporting revenue of $102.35 billion versus $99.89 billion adjusted estimated. The company said it will increase its capital expenditures to a range of $91 billion to $93 billion for the 2025 year, and that was up from $85 billion. The company's cloud unit, which houses its AI services, showed solid growth and a $155 billion backlog from customers, said CEO Sundar Pichai. So let's take a look at the specific numbers here. All right, so we already mentioned revenue came in at $102.35 billion versus $99.89 billion estimated. So they beat revenue by around $2 to $3 billion, which is very impressive. Earnings per share came in at $3.10 versus $2.33 estimated. So that's a very big beat on earnings. And several other numbers. YouTube advertising revenue came in at $10.26 billion versus $10.01 billion expected. Google Cloud revenue came in at $15.15 billion versus $14.74 billion expected. Traffic acquisition costs $14.87 billion versus $14.82 billion. All right, so Alphabet pretty much beat on all the major metrics. They beat on the top line, on revenue, on the bottom line, earnings per share. So that would explain why the stock is up over 5% today. Um, just another note on here. So the company increased its capital expenditure to be in the range of $91 billion to $93 billion. And that was up from a previous range, which they had it at $75 billion to $85 billion. So they're increasing their capital expenditures, specifically in AI infrastructure and AI data centers. So as an investor, you don't want to see the increased capital expenditures. Um, it's kind of a negative, but they are putting that into AI infrastructure and data centers. So it's going to pay off in the medium term and long term. So you want to look at that as a positive. So let's see if there's something else here. So the CEO Sundar Pichai said, "We continue to drive strong growth in new businesses." And Google Cloud accelerated, ending the quarter with $155 billion in backlog. So, and also on here mentions that looking out to 2026, we expect a significant increase in CapEx, capital expenditures, and we'll provide more detail on our fourth quarter earnings call. So again, they're increasing their capital expenditures, which I think is a good thing long term. So very good news from Alphabet. Let's find some other news articles here. Alphabet rises on sales beat fueled by Google Cloud unit growth. Alphabet reported a surge in demand for its cloud and artificial intelligence services last quarter, pleasing investors who sent its shares up even as the company said capital spending for the year would be higher than expected. So Alphabet shares rose 8.5% in pre-market trading on Thursday. So it was up even higher earlier today. All right, the video streaming site YouTube, which turned 20 this year, reported $10.3 billion in revenue, beating analysts' $10 billion estimate. All right, let's see if we can find a couple more articles. Alphabet posts first ever quarter with $100 billion in revenue. And this also just mentions the monopoly case that was resolved that Google was going through. And they don't have to worry about that as well. They don't have to worry about its businesses being broken up. So Alphabet is having a really good year this year. And this will be the last article we take a look at. Google stock soars to record high on Q3 earnings beat, cloud outlook. Google parent Alphabet delivered third quarter earnings and revenue that handily beat consensus estimates, while internet search advertising and cloud computing revenue came in well above expectations. Google stock soared to a record high on the news in early trading on Thursday. Google earnings search results. Google's Q3 earning internet search advertising revenue rose over 14% to $56.57 billion versus $55.05 billion estimated. So, a lot of the fears were that its search advertising revenue is under risk with a lot of other competitors like ChatGPT and other ones, but we can see that its search advertising revenue is still growing and beating expectations. So that's very good to see. All right. So I think that's good enough as far as the news articles. So next, we'll take a look at the chart for Alphabet stock. All right. So, like we mentioned earlier, right now, Alphabet stock is trading at $286.38, up over 11 bucks, up around 4 to 5%. So this is the one-day chart for the stock. It's been in a range of $280 to $291 and change. So we're about at the middle point between those two ranges. So very good day for the stock. Let's take a look at the 5-day chart. So the stock was around $250 5 days ago, and then it's been consistently going up, 270s, 280s, and we can see the nice little bump here after the earnings report came out. The stock went from the 270s all the way up to 290, and now it's cooled off a little bit. So love to see that bump, that jump after an earnings report. That's always something I enjoy seeing. 1 month chart, the stock is up $43, over 17%. The stock was in the 240s, 230s. It was kind of flat for a bit, but then recently it went up to the 250s, 60s, and now we're in the 280 range. So pretty good looking 1 month chart for Alphabet stock. Over 3 months, the stock is up $89, up 45%. And that's a very pretty looking chart. Over 3 months, the stock was in the 180s, and it's gone up just in 3 months. It's gone up $100 from the 180s. We passed 200. We're in the mid 200s for a while, and now we're in the high 200s. So it's gone up $100 in 3 months. So that's very significant. That's around 50%. So very, very impressive chart for Alphabet stock. It's having a really good year this year. Year to date, the stock is up $96, up over 51%. Also very nice looking growth chart here. So to start the year, the stock was 180, And then we had the tariff situation for a couple months. The stock bottomed out in about April. It was around 140 bucks. So if you bought the stock in April, you got it at around 140, $150. Now, 6 months later, you basically doubled your money. So that's very good to see if you're an investor. So again, April was the lows, 140s. 6 months later, consistent growth. The stock is at $280 and change. You doubled your money in 6 months if you were wise and intelligent and you bought the stock back in April. One-year chart, the stock is up over $111, up 63%. That's very impressive as well. 3-year chart, the stock is up $189, up almost 200%. So 3 years ago, you could have bought the stock for 70 bucks, 80 bucks. You had all the consistent growth. Now you own the stock and it's worth $286. So very impressive 3-year chart. 5-year chart, similar story. It's up over $200. It's up over 250%. 5 years ago, stock was around $70, 80. In 2022, the stock dipped like with all the other stocks. And now the stock is 280 plus dollars. And let's take a look at the max chart. The stock is up $282.93. It's up over 11,000%. So if you were really, really smart and really, really wise and intelligent and bought the stock 20 years ago in the mid 2000s, 2004, 2005, when it was only a few dollars a share, look at all this growth the stock has been on over the past decades. We had the recessionary year in 2022 with all the inflation, but if you were wise to buy it at those times as well, you would have realized all these gains up until now, and you would be a very, very satisfied investor. So, this is as good of a chart as you're going to see for any stock for any different time frame. You could see that from even from the 1-day chart all the way up to the max chart, the stock has just been very impressive and probably one of the best looking growth charts that I've seen for sure. So thumbs up for Alphabet stock and its beautiful chart. All right, guys. So next, let's see if we can find some new price targets for Alphabet stock after the earnings report that came out. So we'll start with this one over here on the right. So analyst recommendation is a buy, and this is based on 67 analysts, and this is as of today. So out of the 67 analysts, 43 of them have a strong buy rating on the stock, 14 have a buy, 10 have a hold, and nobody has a sell or a strong sell on the stock. 12-month price target So this should be getting adjusted. So this is going to be higher, but they have it at 281.94, and industry recommendation is a buy. So pretty much all the analysts are saying that the stock is still a good buy, and nobody has it as a sell. So let's find some specific price targets that came out after this earnings report. Goldman, JP Morgan, Barclays, bullish on Alphabet search, YouTube, and cloud businesses. All right, so let's take a look here. Analysts raise price targets after the report. Goldman Sachs analyst raised his firm's price target on Alphabet to $330, up from 288, describing about 20% upside from the prior close. So we saw the stock was trading at in the 280s. So this analyst think the stock will go up another $50 in the next 12 months. At Barclays, an analyst raised his price target from $250 to $315, which suggests roughly 15% upside. And Morgan Stanley also lifted its target to $330, calling the stock positioned to outperform. Bank of America analyst pushed his price target to 335 from 280, a shift of 22% over Alphabet's prior closing price. Some analysts keep caution in place while still raising expectations. JP Morgan analyst lifted his target from $300 to $340, which reflects about 24% upside. UBS analyst raised his price target to 306 from 255. Deutsche Bank analyst raised his target to 340. So all these analysts have increased their price targets for the stock. We saw the stock is $280 and change, and all these analysts have a price target that's above $300. So still very bullish on Alphabet stock even after all the growth the stock has had this year. So let's keep going here. And some of these might be repeats, but we'll still go through them. Alphabet price target raised to 350 from 225 at Susquehanna. Alphabet stock outlook, is Wall Street bullish or bearish? All right. So it says here, moreover, analysts remain optimistic about the company's prospects. Google has a consensus strong buy rating overall. Of the 56 analysts covering the stock, 42 have a strong buy, 5 have a moderate buy, and 9 have a hold. So, very good news there. So, we just see some more here. Oppenheimer analyst raised the price target from 270 to 300. All right, let's keep going. Alphabet price target raised to 330 from 260 at Needham. Alphabet price target raised to 330 from 288 at Goldman Sachs. Alphabet price target raised to 330 from 310 at Seaport Research. Alphabet price target raised to 350 from 290 at Wolf Research. So this is the highest price target I've seen so far, $350. The stock is at in the 280s. So this is about another $70 increase in the next 12 months. Alphabet price target raised to 315 from 250 at Barclays, 345 from 300 at Oppenheimer. Alphabet price target raised to 335 from 280 at Bank of America. Alphabet price target raised to 343 from 280 at Citi. All right. So I think that's good enough as far as the price targets for Alphabet stock. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and summarize what we took a look at today. So Alphabet stock is hitting all-time highs after its quarter three earnings report. We saw some news about that. We saw that the company beat on the top line on revenue, on the bottom line on earnings per share, and pretty much all the other metrics. So it was a very successful quarter three for Alphabet. And as a result, the stock was up over 5% and is hitting all time highs. After that, we took a look at the chart for Alphabet stock and all the different time frames from 1 day all the way to the max. And we just saw all the significant growth that the stock has had for all the different time frames and just how impressive the chart and the growth for the stock has been over the last 20 plus years. Number three, we took a look at some price targets that came out after the earnings report. So we saw that all the analysts increased their price targets for the stock to above $300 per share. The highest one we were able to find was $350. So that would be another $60, $70 increase in the stock price in the next 12 months if that does happen. So all the analysts are still bullish on the stock, even after all the growth that the company has had this year. And they expect that to continue in the next 12 months. So next, I'm just going to share my opinion about the stock and give my price target in the next 12 months. So as I mentioned earlier, Alphabet stock, in my opinion, is one of the best, if not the best stocks out there. And the company as well is one of the best, if not the best tech company in the world. They just continue to grow like all these decades. And that trend, my expectation is that it's just going to continue. So just from like 20 years ago, where they just started YouTube, and now 20 years later, just all the growth that YouTube has had, search, all the growth that Google search has had. And now, they're the leader in AI. So with their AI tool Gemini, um, and YouTube continues to grow. So I just think the company is just going to continue on this growth pattern in the next 20 years as well. Um, it's had a great year so far. Earlier this year, we had the antitrust ruling come out, and it was favorable to Alphabet. They didn't have to break up any of their businesses. They didn't have to sell off Google Chrome. So that was kind of the big cloud that was hanging over the company. So we got that out of the way. And now um, the other thing that came out was their AI mode on Google search. So instead of just having their usual Google search, you can now enter AI mode and have the AI assistant help you. So they have that product as well to compete with Chat GPT, and their AI assistant Gemini has grown significantly ever since it came out. They're making phones. The Google Pixel phones are pretty amazing. So this is one of the best tech companies in the world. This is one of the best tech stocks in the world. My expectation is that all of this will just continue to grow. Every quarter, the company has amazing results. It has, some speed bumps here and there, but those are all like good buying opportunities. So I'm very bullish on the stock. I think that it's just going to continue to grow. And in the next 12 months, so the stock is at 280 right now. I mean, I expect the stock to be in the mid 300s in the next 12 months. So let's say 340 to $360 per share, I think is a reasonable expectation for Alphabet stock in 12 months. So even with all the growth that the stock has had, we saw it was at around $140 just 6 months ago. Now it's at 280, and in 6 months to 12 months, it can be up 340, 50, $360. So I'm definitely bullish on the stock, on the company, and I just expect, this growth to continue. All right, guys, that's all I wanted to cover for Alphabet stock. I hope you guys got some value out of this content and you liked it. If you did, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel so that I can continue making these videos. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.